Welcome to Undrafted Hockey Fan. I am Brad, and today we're doing an interview with none other than Chris of the Uncle Puckers podcast. Chris, how you doing today?
I'm good, man. I'm doing real good. Thank you for having me on. This is a treat.
Honestly, I'm surprised we got you out of the depressive coma of the Vikings loss against the Lions. I'm so
Wow, you had to start off right with that, right?
I had to.
Nice to meet you, Chris. Come here. Can I kick your dog while I'm at it?
You started it. We pre-show. You started. You opened up with it, so I had
congratulated you guys being Lions fans.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was a rough one, man. It was a rough one, but if you're a Viking fan, as long as I've been, they find new and fascinating ways to just crush your heart into a million pieces. And it's not over, but at the same time, it's kind of over. I think Viking fans kind of knew that. I felt whoever came out of that game last night, whoever lost that game, I thought would be in trouble next week. And I still believe that. Just unfortunately, it's my team that's in trouble.
Yeah, you could be a Bears fan. So that is something. So,
yeah, I tell you, at least you could take solace in the fact that regardless of whether or not you're going to win a Super Bowl this year, and the Lions I put in there, but you're just the organizations in the NFL that are these dumpster fires. I just don't know how you can be a fan of the Bears, of the Jets, of like the Carolina Panthers, and some of these organizations that it's just like it's not. It's just it's ownership. It's management. Like that's not going to change. It's same in the NHL too.
Yeah.
And you just know that there's nothing you're going to do unless somebody goes and throws $12 billion in front of an owner's face. That ownership is going to stay, and they're going to continue to just destroy your team.
Look at the Rangers. I mean, they're talking about the Metro and the Rangers. So
I love talking about the Rangers this year. This is
it is so much fun. Actually, that's something we can definitely talk about. But let's start with your Devils. So you guys talk about it in a recent podcast. You guys are clearly going through a slump. 0-4 in the last 4 games. How are you feeling about this team? Are you losing confidence? What are you seeing that is the issue that is currently plaguing the Devils at this point? And how do they remedy this long term? Because I mean, they can't stop. You can't make a playoff contender at this rate with the way they're going.
No, I mean, this is the playoffs. They just got swept, right? I mean, you lost 4, and they were all in regulation. They were against what I would see at least in 2 of these inferior teams in the Ducks and in the Sharks, which the San Jose Sharks have now swept the New Jersey Devils. So sit on that for a little while. Like that's embarrassing. That's pretty low. I love this team. I love the makeup of this team. I love what Tom Fitzgerald has done this year. I think he did a fantastic job with getting the pieces that he knew he needed, not just the pieces he wanted. You see that, we talk about the Rangers, right? Like they're a team that it's like whatever new shiny object is available, we're going to try and get that. And it might not be what the team really needs at that point. And I think Tom Fitzgerald did a good job with identifying pieces and needed pieces and going and getting them. Now, but I also feel like he didn't do enough in certain areas, and most importantly, the bottom 6. Like our depth scoring for the Devils now has just over the course of the last, I'll say, 15 games has just been god awful. And we were talking on the last show about Eric Holla, who's been our third line centerman, and he hasn't done anything. I mean, he's really just now becoming, a liability on the ice, and something has to change. Do you sit the guy for a couple of games? Do you think about maybe trading for somebody else? Do you maybe move him to the 4th line? What do you do with him? Well, now he's suffered some type of lower body injury. So
it says ankle sprain right now on Wikipedia. Yep. So
the hockey gods have taken care of that for us, and now he will be.
Now, we don't wish injury on people, but we do want the team to improve.
Yeah, I mean, look, if he happens to have an ankle sprain that's going to keep him out for a couple of weeks, I'm okay with that. Right?
Good. Let him take his rest and everything. That's right. It.
Because now they have Justin Dowling, who I've liked what I've seen from Dowling this year, and the Devils have brought him up, and he's played primarily on the 4th line, centering that 4th line while Curtis Lazar was injured. But now it looks like he's going to be promoted up to that 3rd line center moving forward against the Kraken later on tonight.
That's what it says. Is if he's got 3 points in 25 games, by the way, just so you know. So
3 points in 25 games. He's quick. I mean, you're not going to get an offensive, huge offensive output from Justin Dowling, but he's going to drive play. And that's what you need. You just need guys that are not going to spend their entire shift in the defensive zone, that can push play, that can go up against the team's better lines, because that's another issue that I feel with the Devils, which could hurt them in the playoffs, is you have this line of Nico Hischier, Timo Meier, and Stefan Noesen. Now, they move one of the wingers, Noesen, sometimes he's not there. Sometimes it's Palat, sometimes it's Paul Cotter. But Timo Meier and Nico Hischier are pretty much set. Mm-hmm. And they put them up a lot of times against the team's best lines. This is a very good defensive line, but they're also a very good offensive line. So you're kind of hamstringing yourself because you don't have that really good third line that's great at defensively that can go up against teams' best lines, where you're using the Hischier and Meier line to kind of combat that. And then you're not getting that offensive production from them a lot of the times. And so I just wish there was a little bit more balance. And I think maybe with Dowling being in the third line now, I think he might be able to kind of help them with that. So that's what I'm hoping for. Now, I mean, do I think this team as presently constructed can win a Stanley Cup? No, I don't. I think they do need to adjust a little bit on that bottom six. You have to get you have to get depth scoring. I mean, it can't just be Jack Hughes, Jesper Bratt, Nico Hischier, and Timo Meier.
So the way the construction is looking at it, looks like they have Ondrej Palat on the top line with Hughes and Bratt. So to me, I'm wondering a couple things. Ondrej Palat doesn't feel like a top six guy. He seems like a more middle six, bottom six guy. I would love to see him on the third line. And to me, I don't know why they're not putting Dawson Mercer on the top line. That's to me, because to me, Bratt can play left side or right side. He's left-handed shooter, so put him on the left side. Then you put Dawson Mercer up there. He's a right side on the right wing. So, and then you have Hughes is phenomenal, right? So to me, that seems like a guy who needs to get started a little more is Mercer, who has 19 points in 42 games right now. Like, that's a guy you want here long term. He just signed a recent contract for $4 million for 3 years. Like, he's 22. He's like recently turned 22. So that seems like a guy you want to keep, and he would ideally be part of your core, like or your fringe core. I'd say maybe you're not your maybe your five guys, right? But like the guys that are going to help be a good supporting cast. Again, like similarly, Red Wings have DeBrincat, who is very good, but he might not be here long term. He only signed a 4-year deal, right? So like but Raymond, Sider, Larkin, like those are your guys, right? So, but I think Mercer would be a great guy on the top line, and I don't know why they're not utilizing him there.
He's been up there for a few games. Dawson Mercer's problem is he's not very strong. Like, you watch him on the puck and he bounces off of guys. He's not great at digging away, these loose battles, these puck battles along the boards. He's not really good at that yet. Now, because he's young and he just really needs to grow into a man. And I think he will be very good at those things. But right now, like, for Devil fans, if you watch Jesper Bratt over the course of the last 2 or 3 years, this guy went from a lot like Dawson Mercer to now a guy who spends all of his offseason training, does everything the right way. And he's come back these last 2 years and been a lot more of a physical presence. Now, Palat does do those. Now, I agree with you. Palat should be a third liner. That's where Ondrej Palat should be. But the Devils don't really have anybody else. Like, I would prefer to see Paul Cotter in that spot next to Hughes and Bratt. That's what I would like to see. Paul.
You talked about him a ton on your last podcast. He's 15 points in 42 games. You seemed super high on him, and to me, when you guys traded for him, I thought you lost that deal. I was like, you sent out Schmid and Alexander Holtz. I know you're not getting a ton for Alexander Holtz, right? But like, you sent out a decent, like a pretty good prospect goalie. I mean, you guys have Dawes though as well, so Dawes looks phenomenal. To me, I thought it was gonna be Dawes, Schmid as your guys 1-2 for the next.
That's what it should have been, yeah.
And so to me, I'm like surprised that like you're talking very highly of Cotter, but I was like, who's Paul Cotter? And he's 24 years old, 212 pounds, 6 foot. I mean, he's a big dude, right? So, mind you, Mercer's 6 foot, so he's got 30 less pounds than Cotter, of course, right? So go ahead.
Paul Cotter will, he hits anything that moves. He came from a great organization in Vegas. He won a cup with them. He's got amazing hands. I mean, when he gets the puck, if you watched out, and Devil fans, I'm sure notice this, when he gets the puck, he doesn't give it up. I mean, he is great at just controlling the puck and doing what he wants with it. The problem with Paul Cotter is sometimes he's a very emotional guy. So if things don't necessarily go right on the ice, he can get himself out of the game by, dwelling on a bad call or spending more time going after Rasmussen, instead of worrying about scoring goals, which you saw the last time that the Devils played the Red Wings, and, things like that. But I think he brings that element that, first of all, having the 3 younger, smaller guys in Hughes, Bratt, and Mercer on a line, I just think, especially from a playoff series,
that makes sense. Yeah, now I'm looking at that. I'm like, oh, they're all small. Yeah,
they're all smaller. And what happens when you get into the playoffs? What is it? The team looks at the opposition looks at your team and says, what are the things that we have to take away? Well, you're going to look at the Devils and say, we have to take away Jack Hughes. Mm-hmm. And, that's why now you're taking away Jack Hughes and Dawson Mercer and Jesper Bratt. It's a lot harder to take that line completely away. But when you have a guy like Paul Cotter playing up there, or you go and get somebody like we've talked about, Alex Tuck in Buffalo, who I think would fit on that line wonderfully.
Dude, underrated, honestly.
Absolutely. So like a player like that, a player that can stick up for those guys, and not that they really have it, people don't tend to really take much liberties on Jack Hughes. I think there is a respect there with those superstar players that guys kind of pull up a little bit, not to mention that he also, is very hard to catch. He's like that chicken in Rocky 2, and, just try to catch him, go try and catch the chicken. You can't catch Jack. He's ridiculous. But, I think what the Devils need, like I said, a guy like, I'd like to see Paul Cotter out there. More importantly, I'd like to see a trade for somebody, like I said, a guy like Alex Tuck, and keep Paul Cotter maybe even on that 4th line, where you can have like Curtis Lazar, Paul Cotter, and Nate Bastian if you wanted to keep him. I don't know if Bastian will be there long term right now. He seems like a guy that might be on the block, depending on what Fitz wants to do. And then having a 3rd line of, let's say, Ondrej Palat, and even if you kept Holla, maybe move him to the wing or keep him at center, and then have the kid that we were just Justin Dowling, center. Mm-hmm. I would like to just see. There's a huge difference in the way that Lindy Ruff coached this team and the way Sheldon Keefe. I mean, not to mention just the structure in general under Keefe is a lot more disciplined than it was under Lindy Ruff. But Lindy Ruff had, and he does it with Buffalo, he'll throw those lines in a blender no matter what's happening. It's just, one shift in, right? You guys didn't score 2 goals. Okay, let's just throw everything in a blender and screw it. And I think last year especially, it got to a point where guys just didn't have clear defined roles. Mm-hmm. They were going out on the ice just going, I don't even know. I know who I'm starting with, but I don't know who I'm going to be ending up playing with.
Yeah.
I don't know. And Sheldon Keefe is much more steadfast. And these are the lines, and we're keeping them together. I think there's got to be a happy medium. And I think Sheldon Keefe now, with this 4-game losing streak, I think he will start to juggle these lines a little bit more. So I'm very interested in tonight and then Thursday night at Madison Square Garden against the Rangers. I'm really curious to see what he does with these lines and how he changes them up a little bit.
Well, yeah, and Seattle's in their last. I mean, they're on a 2-game losing streak. They're 3-6-1. So I mean, you have a pretty good opportunity to take care of that. And they're huh?
No, I didn't say anything. I'm just.
And they're 500. They're 500 at home as well. And so, I mean, that's a team that it's an easy coin toss right there. I don't know if they're playing Joey Decord tonight. I big fan of Joey Decord, man. I
am too.
He's a killer, dude. It's awesome. Yeah, so
he is.
I show my wife a picture of him with the shirtless with his pads on, and all of her friends, and they're like, "Who is that?" And I was like,
"Ready to leave you now."
She was like, "Can you do that?" I said, we gotta change our diet then. That's the case. I was like, you're gonna see a lot less of me, but when I am here, you're gonna look at me a lot more.
You're just gonna be walking around the house with no shirt on, your goalie pads. Look, honey, See all the work I put in here.
That's good, dude. It's funny. I call our bedroom light Marvin. So hey Goo. Oh, I can't say Goo. Anyways,
right.
and I turn on Marvin, and it's
nice
because it's the bedroom. Like let's get it on.
I like it.
So, anyways, but yeah. So, and just kind of going real quick. Who do you see moving? Because I know, again, mentioning your podcast. By the way, definitely go check those out. Make sure to go check out Uncle Puckers with Tony, Chris, and I can't remember the other one.
It's now actually there's 5 of us. It's
Tony. 5 of you. I thought there was only 3 of you.
Not everybody gets on all the time, so
okay.
we kind of have a rotating cast. It's myself, my co-hosts Bobby, Dan, Tim, and Tony.
Okay.
So yeah, Tim Wood, who just joined us recently, he's of like Devil's Twitter fame. He ended up when we first started doing the show, and he would just kind of DM us and stuff, and we realized after a year or so going back and forth, like he's our age, he knows so much about this sport and
the history, all that stuff,
and the analytics a lot more than we're in. Like he's like you are into like the contract breakdowns and all that stuff. That's Tim. So it's like, it's nice to have that guy on the show. So it's 5 of us, and we kind of just rotate in and out. And I've only missed one show.
Really?
That was it. So, but so it's always
committed.
Yeah, it's always me, and Bobby and Tim. We're the 3 that are usually there most of the time. So if you listen to the last show, it was me, Bobby, and Tim.
Gotcha. Well, so I think they have a good options. I mean, I think you guys have a ton of people. Again, go check out Uncle Puckers on Spotify, all that stuff, all the anywhere you can find podcasts, and hopefully the YouTube channel will be back up and running after we figure out how to use StreamYard. I'll tell you, YouTube's where it's at, man. So. Let's take a quick break because we're at the 15-minute or 16-minute mark, and then we'll jump in. I want to talk about that. Who you see moving out and who you see moving in, and you mentioned Tuck. I think there's another person on the San Jose Sharks you were looking to bite at. No pun intended. Actually, total pun intended. But we'll take a quick break. Here's some from our sponsor, DraftKings, and we'll see you guys in about a minute 40. It's the most wonderful time of the year for getting in on all the hoops, football, and hockey action at DraftKings Sportsbook. In the season of giving, we're being gifted college football and basketball, pro football and basketball, and pro hockey too, almost 24/7. And here's a gift for all new customers to bet $5 and get $100 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Listen, I'm a Red Wings fan. You can see by the hat that I'm wearing. But basically, I'm covering every NHL team. And if I'm looking at the odds right now, Red Wings are not looking that great to get the Stanley Cup. But maybe you're thinking, hey, maybe there's another team that you're looking at. Maybe you're a Columbus Blue Jackets fan, and you're like, man, Florida looks really good. Or maybe you're an Anaheim fan, and you're like, man, those Edmonton Oilers look really, really good. You can put your bets in at DraftKings, betting $5 and to get $100 or just bet $5 to get $100 in bonus bets if your bet wins. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. When you bet just $5. Happy holidays from DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boo Hill Casino and Resort, 21 plus, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive reward. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/bball. And we're back. And so we're talking about the New Jersey Devils. And so I want to see who you mentioned Bastian not being here as a long-term option in this case. Do you see maybe a trade with him, and maybe in the center you're looking for? You said you were looking at Dowling, and I know you see Kurt. I know you mentioned Curtis Lazar on your show. So if that's the case, who do you bring in as a third line center, and then who takes over that fourth line center spot in your opinion?
Well, I mean, we were talking about Mikael Granlund from San Jose, who
phenomenal.
I would love to get Granlund in there and put him as your third line center. Like me, if I was okay, I kind of have carte blanche. I'm general manager for a day.
Yep.
Hughes, Bratt, Alex Tuck, I'd make a move and I get Tuck, and so he would be on with Bratt and Hughes. The second line, I would have Heischer, Mercer, I mean, Meyer, and I kind of like Nason there, but I also like Stefan Nason on the third line. But for now, I guess we'll keep him up there on the second line with Hischier and Meyer. Then the third line, if you had Granlund, Palat, and Mercer, I think that can be a good third line. And then the fourth line, you have Curtis Lazar. Do you have Dowling? I don't know what that's the thing where what do you do with Dowling at that point? Because Dowling might come in tonight and wow you. He might be the answer. And you might realize, you know what, we can trade Eric Holla, or there are just certain guys on this team. As much as I love the team, there are certain guys I just don't give a shit if they're there or not. Like if Nate Bastian is gone, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. If Ondrej Palat is gone, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. And the same with Eric Holla. And I get a lot of slack for the Ondrej Palat. I mean, a ton. Devil fans, a lot of them, they like Palat. They think that he does really well on that line with Hughes and Bratt. And I'm not saying that he doesn't. My thing is he's also got a $6.5 million contract.
I was going to say he's got this year and 2 years after this. And this year he has a full blown no move clause. So I don't think you're moving this year. Next year, though, he does have so after the summer, after July 1st, he has a 10 team trade list, which means he picks 10 teams that he can be or wants to be traded to. And I think that may be the option, but moving off of a $6 million for 2 years is a definitely hard one to do. I could see him being a buyout candidate more so next season than, because I think it's just going to cost too much to move $12 million. And I'll give you an example. Mark Stahl from the New York Rangers to Detroit Red Wings, he made $5 million for 1 year, and it cost the Rangers a second round pick for the Red Wings to take on that contract. Similarly, when they moved Jake Wallman, he made $3.4 million per year, not for 1, but for 2 years. So you're looking at $6.8 million. And Yzerman, to get rid of that contract, whether you agree with it or not, and I completely disagree with it, he had to give him a second round pick with him for them to take on the real dollars. So moving on from a $12 million of Ondrej Palat, it would just make so much more sense to buy him out because the cap's going up, right?
And that's exactly what I think is going to happen. I mean, unless you have a cup contender that believes that they are, an old veteran who's at maybe 60% of his skills from when he was winning cups with Tampa, unless you really feel like, well, maybe we can get New Jersey to hold half of his salary. And, even if that costs us $3 million, I would still do it just to get him out of the building. And to Devil fans that love this guy and think he's doing a fantastic job with Bratton and Hughes, how do you think, like, you've seen him now for 3 years in New Jersey? The first year he was with us, he was injured. That was the 2002-2003 season where the Devils had that sprung up, that 112-point season, second place in the Metropolitan, second round of the playoffs. 13-game win streak, which I will mind you, Ondrej Palat did not play for, I think, 12 of those 13 games in those winning streaks. I think he was there for the first game that started the whole thing. So he wasn't part of that 13-game win streak, came back, and he had a very good playoff for the Rangers. And I think that's what Devil fans, a lot of us do, is how we rationalize it's the Ondrej Palat deal is. But we got him here for what he can bring in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And okay, he showed it against the Rangers in the first round 2 years ago. Last year, you don't make the playoffs. You still need him to contribute during the regular season. And if you are kind of unsure about where his spot on this team is now, how do you think you're going to feel, like you said, 2 years from now, when he's 2 years older and 2 years slower? It just, to me, there's no place on this team for him. Holla, those guys, I'd be fine. Just, you can find guys that are cheaper, that can do a better job at what you're getting from them. That's just where I'm sitting with that.
Well, and mind you, the reason you pay him $6 million for, I think it was 6 years, right?
Yeah.
The reason you do that is this guy won 2 Stanley Cups with the Tampa Bay Lightning. You're paying for the Stanley Cups. You're giving, and you're picking him up as a free agent, right? My mindset with free agents is you always pay. If you had got Ondrej Palat at 5, you always pay one more year and you pay $1 more $1 million relative, right?
Right.
So if you had gotten Ondrej Palat at 5 years, $5 million, I mean, you might not want to trade him. He might be a good third line guy in that point that you want to keep, right? But that extra year makes it harder. The extra $1 million makes it a little harder. Red Wings fans are seeing that with Justin Hall. Justin Hall has paid $3.2 million for 3 years. Justin Hall at 2.2 and 2 years looks a lot better and it feels a lot better
right.
for your the guy who's been demoted to a third or a sixth, seventh defenseman. Now he's kind of more of it on the third. He's pretty much solidified the third pair.
Right.
But that's the idea around these UFAs. You're paying for that cup experience. Red Wings Tarasenko was not a first day acquisition. He was a second or third day acquisition. Red Wings had to pay the $4.75 million, which sounds good for Tarasenko, but they had to give him a second year. So that is something that you're paying for a guy who's won 2 Stanley Cups, similar to Ondrej Palat. Mind you, he's bigger piece of the St. Louis Blues than he was the Florida Panthers. Yeah. But again, Red Wings would do that too. JT Compher won a Stanley Cup with the Avalanche. You're paying him $5.1 million, 5 years. If you get him at 4-1 and for 4 years, you're not mad about that, right? But again, it's UFA. These guys are looking to make their money because this is the time they're going to make the most money they can. And so that makes sense. Probably at the time for a young team like that, it made sense to get that mentality, right? Like it did.
It did make sense to get that mentality, but Devil fans also have to remember that he was a consolation prize. Okay, so the year prior, Dougie Hamilton signs with the Devils. He was the first big.
Oh, yeah, he got injured, right?
Well, no, he wasn't. Not that year. He got injured. But the year that he gets here, he gets signs with the Devils. He plays the year, and now, kind of the Devils are not. They didn't make the playoffs that year, but they're looking like. I guess you can kind of say like the Red Wings, the Sabres, the Senators, those type of teams. You can see the potential. They're not quite there. So we have to bring some guys in. Tom Fitzgerald went really hard that summer for Johnny Gaudreau. He wanted Johnny Gaudreau, and he went really hard. And up until, and RIP Johnny, absolutely. But he went right up until that day that he signed with Columbus. And it was between the New Jersey Devils and the Columbus Blue Jackets.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, it was like, I think between New Jersey and Boston, I think, or there was another team on the East Coast, Flyers, possibly.
So Johnny wanted the Flyers because that was his team growing up, but they had just brought in Rasmus Ristolainen from the Buffalo Sabres, and Chuck Fletcher was still there, and they fucked it all up, and they the cap got fucked, and so they couldn't move anyone out, and so it was a terrible move. And Tony DeAngelo, I think, as well.
Yeah, you're right. He was there, and Columbus wasn't even really on anyone's radar until we all heard that he had signed.
Yeah.
So Tom Fitzgerald really thought that he was getting Johnny Gaudreau,
and
as a Devil fan, I'm kind of glad that didn't go through, because I just think, when I think about as great as Johnny Gaudreau was at hockey, like when I think about wow, imagine this team with another really small, really fast forward on it, that's just not what the team needs right now. But the next day, Ondrej Palat was signed. He was the consolation prize. There was no way that if they got Gaudreau, they would have had the money or gone after Ondrej Palat. But I felt like Fitzgerald at that point was like, I've got to make a move. It has to be. I can't. Hamilton was great. Now Hamilton, Gaudreau, back-to-back years. That maybe brings some people where they perk up their eyes. Maybe I'll go play in New Jersey. Johnny's there. Dougie's there. He had to get somebody. Yeah. And that's where I think Ondrej Palat came in, which I originally was super excited about. I thought this was great. Like you said, this guy is a winner. And then he just has not lived up to what he was in Tampa Bay. And at the same time I say, well, if you look at his numbers during the regular season, even when he was in Tampa Bay, he was a playoff guy. He had that playoff gene. Like he was like Claude Lemieux in that sense, that once that 83rd game started, a switch flips in their head and they become different players.
He turns it on, man. Yeah.
Yes. And that's kind of what I'm hoping Palat becomes come April when this team does start their playoff run. But at the same time, if he's gone, I really wouldn't mind either. So there's some things. And I'm also at a point where maybe you don't feel this way being a Red Wing fan, but I have complete and total faith in our general manager. I do. I believe that Tom. Yes, that was a knock on Stevie Yzerman. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. It's only the guy with the 7th most points ever in the league. It's okay, no big deal.
Hey, look, he's not centering your team anymore. He's running it.
No, I know. Well, so you talk about again, Ondrej Palat again. Unfortunately, is a mute point because of the no move clause.
Sure.
Unless he gets bought out this summer.
And he could say, yeah, I'll if you sat down with the guy and his agent and said, look, we can send you to Vegas. You got a shot to win a cup. You know, what do you say? He could say, you know what? Yeah, send me to Vegas.
Totally. Yeah. And that's the leverage that he'll have with the 10-team no trade. But again, I think at this point, Ondrej Palat, this will be this test, right? Is he worth keeping for the playoffs? And if he balls out this up and coming playoffs, he may be worth keeping. If not, they may move on for him. So I think you talked about moving on from Nathan Bastian, Tomas Tatar as well, who again, huge fan of Tomas Tatar because
call him whatever you want, doesn't matter.
Yeah, I try and do it because I try and do the right names because it's like if someone called me like, you know, I don't know, they say something Brad weird. I don't know, you know, I try and because these they already come to America and everyone fucks up their name already, right? We had a guy named, we have a 7D, his name's Albert. We were saying Johansson because he's Swedish. Oh, it's got to be Johansson. It's Johansson.
Oh, Johansson.
It's Johansson. I'm like, well, the most American way to say that, dude. You got to be kidding me. So I try and do it as best I can. Like we had Oli Mata as well, and I try to put the 2 dots, of course, above his A's just to, and like Simone Evanson is how it's supposed to be said, but he goes by Simon as well. So we're just trying to.
You are much better at this than we are. We mess up guys' names all the time.
It's my favorite. I love when people mess their names. I'm like, how the hell did you? There's one guy
we will be doing a show, and we will have a conversation about Timo Meier, and one of our buddies, Tony, will constantly call him Timo Meier, and it's like he's Timo. It's not Timo Solani. It's Timo Meier, and
it's not Timo like Amazon, Timo right? Chinese Amazon, right?
Exactly. I'm like, I don't. You do watch these games, right? Like, you know, Timu.
Yeah.
No, we do it all the time.
No, I try and get this. I'm trying to get the names right, just because again, these guys are already European and they're getting this stuff screwed up all the way. So I'm trying to be better about it and everything. So, but yeah, like I said, I think Tomas Tatar, can be moved on. You talked about Nathan Bastian. I mean, mind you, Nathan Bastian is 27 years old. In the Red Wings, I mean, this is where you get that most teams make the mistake when they're doing a UFA or a guy who's going to be 27. You extend him for a longer time than you want for too much money, right? So we're seeing that with the Red Wings, you're seeing that with Andrew Kopp. You signed him at 27 or 28 years old-ish, right? And then you signed him for 5-6 years, and now he's 33 at the end of the contract. I think you signed a comp for 26 and he's got 5 years. So you have him until he's 31, right? You're like, so you're getting him in those chunks, but like the 26, 27, 28 is where you're like, hey, is this guy part of is he a guy that's going to sustain for the long term? Mm-hmm. Or is he a bruiser? Is a Curtis McDermott, right? Curtis McDermott, you don't give him a 6-year contract because
but you don't give him a 3-year contract. And we did that though.
Yeah. But at least he was, at least he's, 30, he's 30 now, right? You didn't give him a 6-year contract at 27 and go to 33, right? At least he's going to end it at around 30 years old, right? So I
just real quick, I never even understood too, like the players that do that. Like I wouldn't want to, like if you're 28, I want to go for another contract when I'm 30, 31, not when I'm 34 and I'm at my contract, my career's almost over. You know, it's
guaranteed money though. Right? It's unlike the NFL where this is actually guaranteed money, right? It's the same. I mean, like think about like Pierre Engvall. He had 8-year contract at $3 million per year at 26 years old. Mm-hmm. So he's $24 million. He's like, okay, look at my rest of career. Am I going to be able to make $24 million? Right?
That.
Right. Like that's, I think that's the idea around it, right? So
it's the fixed money, absolutely. Now, you mentioned Tomas Tatar. Like I didn't even bring him up earlier because I forgot he's on this team. Like seriously, that's where I am with Tatar at this point. Like he was brought back over the summer
after being traded. Right?
What's that?
After being traded away, I listened. I was really trying to.
He wasn't traded away. He was signed a 1-year deal with 2-year deal with the Devils. I don't think he was traded away. I think that he signed with. I think it was, I forget who he signed with the Colorado, and then he got traded, I think, to Seattle last year.
Okay. Oh, maybe that's it then.
I think he signed with Colorado.
Okay.
And it was like it was like training camp was just getting ready to start.
You're right. You're right. Yeah, he signed with Colorado, and then he got traded to the Seattle Kraken by December.
So. Okay, so then this year he was. I guess that was just a 1-year deal as well. So we took him back. Now, when he was with the Devils again during that 112-point season, he played really, really well with Nico Hischier's line, and I think that Devil fans really thought that would they'd pick up right where they left off. But again, another year older for Tomas Tatar, and then they're another year of mileage on those legs. Meanwhile, Nico Hischier has gotten a lot better than he was 2 years ago. So you have a guy whose skills have diminished, another guy whose skills have elevated. They just didn't work out this year.
Well, he's 34 as well, right? So you got to consider he's not a spring chicken. I mean, I'm 34, but I'm an athlete. So it's
you look it.
Thank you. It's the jersey. It makes me look like a professional. So
I'm 49 and I haven't done any I guess sports in about 20 years. That was about it. I think it's the last time I put on ice skates or strapped a snowboard to my feet.
Listen, you have a podcast. I know you run your mouth.
Yeah, that I do. That I absolutely do.
So those are movable pieces. But like, to me, I'm going to ask you some trade questions real quick because I want to see where we talked about this at the start of the show. I want to know your realistic vibe.
Okay.
Are you moving a first round pick for Mikael Granlund?
No, I would not.
Half retained.
What's his contract? How much?
Oh, he can't take half retained because he's $5 million. He can't do half retained because the Sharks can't hold any more spots.
That's right. They have them all filled
Carlson and Hurdle.
I don't think that's something you're bringing a third team in. Where are the Arizona Coyotes when you need them to take some money for a fourth round pick?
Even Minnesota was a third team for a while, and they were going for a wild card. I was like, dude, that's awesome. But to me, I think if you're looking at a guy like Mikael Granlund, he will be outbid. A first round pick will be expected because I think a lot of people want him as a center, and there's not a center available, right? And I think with Alex Tuch, he's going to cost. He's $4.75 million for this year and next year. That's an easy first round pick, and that's no retention. I think that's you're looking at trading. What's one of your? You guys had this prospect down. Who is it? As a forward prospect, a young forward prospect. He's recent.
A young forward prospect down in Utica.
Utica.
Oh my God, that's not who the hell. We have a couple.
There's one that I was thinking of. You guys had that was. I can't find it right now. Anyways, it's all right. I was just thinking about because that's going to cost you a good prospect. For Alex Tuch, who is a veteran leader on the Buffalo Sabres, who mind you have one 30-year-old on their team. It's Jason Zucker, and the next oldest guy is like Connor Clifton and Alex Tuch. So you're taking away the veteran leadership there. So and that would cost you, right? Are you willing to move a first round pick and let's say, pulling up here. Oh, you guys have Seamus Casey. Oh, he's so cool, dude. I'm so excited for you guys.
Seamus Casey is not going anywhere.
No, he's not.
If you want to think about something, do you have up on with you right now the Devils numbers? Do you have Tomas Tatar's goal total?
Yep. So he has 37 games, 3 goals, 6 points in 9 games.
And I believe Seamus Casey has 6 goals, and he only played 8 games for the Devils this year.
Jeez.
So, yeah. So that's why I forget about Tomas Tatar sometimes.
No, I get it. I totally get it, man.
So maybe a first-round pick and a prospect in Utica for Alex Tuch.
Okay.
I would do that.
That's doable. Okay. Now you will have to shed some cap, so you're probably moving off of Tomas Tatar or Bastion. So that's somewhere.
You could just outright release Tatar. I think you can get somebody to take Bastion. I think you can get Bastion for a late pick or somebody, to take him off your hands.
Sure, yeah. How much is Simon Nemec worth to you guys? Because to me, he is movable. He is to me, if you could do a Nemec, okay, so I would say Nemec and a third or fourth for Granlund.
Okay, so Nemec is a polarizing topic, especially
I know. I've seen him. He's got sent down plenty of times,
especially on our podcast.
Yeah,
there are a couple guys that believe that you do not move Shimon Nemec. He's going to be too good of a player. Then there's people that believe that Shimon Nemec is absolutely what he's here for is to be a trade chip and to get you the right piece to go win a Stanley Cup. Because not only do I not fully believe in his talent. In other words, I think he's going to be a very good defenseman. I don't think he's going to be Luke Hughes type of defenseman like other people think.
Yeah.
To me, though, this team is so deep in defense. Like, are you even going to have a spot for him in 2 or 3 years?
That's what I'm thinking.
Is it fair to keep him in Utica where that's where he's going to – because to me, Seamus Casey in a short time has shown me more than Shimon Nemec did in an entire year last year. Actually, he looked like he regressed. Now, I even said this on the show a while ago. I'm like, if you look at what he did last year as far as coming in, supposed to be playing the whole season in Utica, he came in, he played the full year for the Devils. And right from that, he went to Worlds. And then he was in other European tournaments all summer. And then he comes and he gets, right into training camp with the Devils. And he didn't look good. Like, this dude played too much hockey. Like, there's sometimes that, like, you just got to step back a little bit. Like, I think that he overthunk this whole thing. This whole thing. So to me, he's movable. I mean, so I would definitely, for the right guy, I would have no problem moving off of Shimon.
Can I interest you in a Comfer or a Andrew Kopp? Believe me, Red Wings have redundancy of third line defensemen. So, or third line center. So, but anyways, sorry, you finish your thought, and then we're gonna hit the next break because I will forget the next break.
No, I was just gonna say, like, what do you think the Red Wings would move off of those guys this year?
Yeah, absolutely.
You think that they're definitely
yeah. To me, so they're kind of redundant, because they're both third line centers. Right. They're not second line centers. They, in my opinion, on a playoff team, they're not. I think Comfer was a second line center for the Avs when Kadri went down, or Kadri was out. So he stepped up and he played well, but he's not an actual second line center. And so he's more like a 50-point guy, potentially, right? Like, I think he sits better at like the 40-45 mark. Kopp same way, but both are very good defensively. I think if you're looking for a good defensive guy, I think Andrew Kopp's a great option for the Devils. I think it'd actually be a win-win because you guys are looking for that third line center. But mind you, Kopp is making a ton of money for a couple of years, so which maybe you want, right? So Andrew Kopp is currently 30, and he's got this year and the next 2 years for 5.6, and he's got a 10-team no trade list, which is basically 10 teams are basically the 7 Canadian teams and the 3 California teams. Okay. So basically, New Jersey is probably an option there in that case, which may be Kopp plays right now. He's playing with Patrick Kane and Andrew DeBrincat, or Alex DeBrincat. Alex, yep. So yeah, good. I'm fucking up his name. Look at that. And so and I'm wearing the jersey. And so to me, Andrew Kopp would be a good, but he does wear an A. They're currently rotating an A, but he was wearing the A a lot last year. So definitely a leader in lockership, stoic leader. But overall a very good defensive center. So and to me, he's not the long-term solution. You're going to move either Comfer or Kopp. And they have Comfer for this year and 3 years, Kopp for this year and 2 years. So they probably it'd be harder to move JT Comfer. So we'll see. So they have we're looking at second line center. They have a guy named Nate Danielson that's coming up. In the AHL, who will be their second line center, and then Marco Kasper, who's playing fourth line center currently, is probably going to be their long-term third line center. He's like 20 years old. Yeah. So like these, and this is, we'll jump into the next section because I know I got you for about another 18 more minutes. But let me hit the game time ad, and then we will jump into the next section. We can talk. You can ask some questions on Red Wings, and then we'll tie a little bow on this bad boy. All right.
Perfect.
Okay. You know that sound. That is the sound of ice skates hitting the ice at your favorite NHL team's rink. And listen, if you're looking to get tickets, you know that there's nothing better than going to see that live experience of hockey, just seeing the guys hit each other, the screams, the crowd, the chants. It's nothing's better than it. And if you're looking to get tickets, you know you got to go to Game Time. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes it getting tickets to see your favorite teams even easier live. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through 1,000 tickets. If you're looking at some up and coming games, like Detroit Red Wings, where I'm at, you get the Blue Jackets coming up on January 2nd. You can go a week ahead. You can go to the Blackhawks versus the Red Wings, right? You can go Kraken. You can do the Sharks. You can do any team. There's so many games. Maybe you're looking at, around the what's it called? Valentine's Day. Oh, well, that's the Four Nations, but you want to go right before Valentine's Day and you want to go to a game. Talk about Red Wings versus Lightning on February 8th. There's a ton of options here. And if you're looking, again, if you get tickets, you go to Game Time. They have super deals. You can see the seats before you buy, which is huge. You get to see actually what the view is on the ice. You can see what's happening. They also have an all-in pricing feature, which you can toggle, which shows the total upfront. So there's no surprise fees at checkout, as well as being able to save more on concert tickets, sports tickets, comedy, theater, whatever you're looking for. As well as Game Time also has the most flexible customer service policy, as well as event cancellation protection, and job loss protection as well. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code THPN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code THPN for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. And we're back.
You put the sound effects into that Game Time ad and everything?
Dude, my first one sounded way better.
The guy from Police Academy.
Dude, my first one was like so much better. Like when I first recorded it, and then when I was recording that one, I was like, I'm so tired of recording. I was I was so gassed, and I was it was like the work outside the work, right? Like this is not work, right? Like this is fun, but it was like it came through really good, but this one good. Thank you. I also don't edit, so this is a one shot, and so when I mess up, and I'm like, well, that is staying in every stutter and step. So
that's exactly how we are. We've never edited anything, I'm waiting until somebody says something so much that I got to go back and edit, but nobody has it. Nobody has yet, so it's worked out.
also, if you're 46 minutes in and it either hits you or it doesn't, like cool,
exactly,
great, awesome. So we talked a little bit about the Red Wings and everything, and I kind of wanted to highlight. So, what was your question on the Red Wings? I think you were questioning a little bit Yzerman, and I can tell you, if you go ahead and ask your question, and I can answer it. So,
it's a very simple question, and it's not about any of the moves he made or anything. I'm just going to look at it's like how much more leash does he get? Like, when do you guys have to seriously make the playoffs before ownership says like maybe the moves you've done aren't the right ones?
So how long do you know how long? So Ken Holland is famous for saying this. Do you know how long he said a rebuild takes?
I don't know.
So Ken Holland, as he was starting the rebuild, said a rebuild takes 6 to 8 years, potentially 10, because of what you have to do to go through a full-blown rebuild, not a retool, which is a lot of teams are trying to do. You're seeing that with Calgary. You're seeing that with the St. Louis Blues. You're seeing that with the Minnesota Wild, who are now coming out of that, right? These retools. And kind of Nashville was doing a retool until they totally fucked it up. But to me, what the Red Wings had to do is they had to get rid of bad contracts, which was they had similar to what you have with a Ondrej Palat, 6 years for $6 million. They had an Abdelkader, which was a $6 million for 5 years back in 2019, right? So like it was, and so they had players that they had. The only person that survived the Ken Holland drafting was. You have Michael Rasmussen drafted 9th overall. He's a third line guy. Why you got drafting a guy for the third line at 9th overall? He should have gone late first round pick. Larkin, who outperformed, probably would go 5-6 in that draft. It had like Nylander and like a ton of good players in that one, so he probably goes 5 or 6 instead of 15th. That's pretty much it. And then Jonathan Berggren, who's basically Daniel Sprong, all offense, no defense, and is a bottom 6 kind of guy. So the cabinet was pretty bare when it came to the Red Wings and what he had to work with. So mind you, you guys, and I'm so fucking jealous. You guys got 2 first overall picks, right?
Yeah,
and you got Nemec at 2nd, right? Like
and we got Nemec at 2nd, and we got Luke at 3. So
the highest they drafted was 4th with Raymond, and they got Seider at 6th. They got Edmonton at 6th. They got Kasper at 8th. They got Danielson at 9th. So the highest.
I haven't, just real quick, like I haven't thought about, like I don't know enough about the Red Wings, and how you're explaining this. This is exactly why it's so important, that draft lottery. And it is so important. Like, you look at the difference, like, and you're going through it beautifully. And it's like the complete difference in about the same amount of time that the Devils started theirs and the Red Wings kind of started theirs, because it took the Devils about 10, 11 years to get really where we are now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you're 100% right. It's about those picks, not so much who you pick. It's the spot, because there is only that handful of just superstars that can change the direction of a franchise.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, so, like, you look at 19, which wasn't their worst year, right? But who went? I mean, they probably got the second best player in that draft, Seider. Like, they genuinely did. And they weren't getting it first, but Devils got first. It's phenomenal. You look at the 2020 draft. That's Raymond draft. Red Wings placed last they were last in the whole league, and they had one of the worst seasons. I think it was the worst season in Red Wings history ever. So you miss out on a guy. You had the option. Lafreniere is starting to now pan out, right? Currently looks like, but like, if they could have picked Stützle, right?
Yeah.
Raymond's probably going to end up being the second best right now. He actually has the most points of
he might be the best.
He has the most points of any U23 player in the league right now. So he's outbeating Stützle, but Stützle has had a 90-point season, and he's a center, right? So, like, those are definitely more highly valued. You look at 21 draft, drafted 6th. Well, you know who we'd like to have? Logan Cooley, because Logan Cooley was a project pick, right? Where he was going to take a longer time. Was that the? No, that was the Owen Power. That was the Owen Power draft. My apologies. But like that, like, they get Edmonton, who's great, who's going to work out great, but like, I don't think that was their first pick, and it wasn't Biffam, not my first pick. You look at the 22 draft, like, that was again, that was Dylan Guenther was 21. That would have been a great pick. That was the Arizona Coyotes. He's looking phenomenal for them, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's certain picks, and Yzerman picks a lot of safe guys. Every first round pick looks like he's going to hit. Like, it is absolutely going to hit. All these guys look like NHL players. The issue with Yzerman currently is he has not hit outside of the first round. That's he's not hit in UFAs. He has not currently hit on his outside the first round. Now, mind you, the only guy that he's drafted that has made the Red Wings, who grew out of the AHL, is, we talked about, Albert Johansson. So that is a guy that has now graduated. Now they have 3 guys who will be graduating next year. And so this is the process. Yzerman prefers to over ripen guys, which can be, they want, he said no one deserves a spot on the Red Wings, not even Dylan Larkin. And so he's like, you have to earn your spot. And he's like, and that's why he made Larkin wait like 3 years before he made him captain. He's like, you got to earn this.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, I think Buffalo's biggest problem is that most of their superstars didn't spend enough time in the AHL marinating. You know, I believe that's a big problem for them.
Which is great. By the way, they got a guy named Elmer Soderblom, whose brother plays on the Chicago Blackhawks as a goalie. Yeah. Elmer Soderblom is 6'8". He's huge, dude. I'm so excited. And so his ELC ends this year, at the end of this year, and he'll have to play. He'll graduate the AHL, and he'll have to play with the Wings. I'm so excited for him in the bottom. Nice. So what you're seeing is, and if you look at the roster right now, the only guys that were drafted, like actually drafted, are first round picks of Yzerman. So Casper, Seider, Raymond. Then you have Larkin, Veleno. There were leftovers from Ken Holland. I forgot Veleno. And that's really it. And Edmonton, right? Like, so everyone else is a free agent. And as we know, you can't build a playoff or Stanley Cup team with UFAs. Mind you, they did trade for Alex DeBrincat, which ended up falling in their lap because he wanted to come to Detroit. But to me, Yzerman you haven't even seen Yzerman's plan yet, because the guys that he drafted, I mean, everyone's like, where's Braden Point? They're in the AHL. Like, his team isn't even here yet. Like, and it's so exciting because, mind you, Casper just made the team this year. He was drafted in 2022. It's 2025. Like, it takes 2 to 3 years for 2 3 years for forwards. It takes 4 for defensemen to really, as you're seeing with Nemec, it takes a long time for these guys to develop. And they have one of the top 2. There's top of the top 5 goalie prospects. Trey Augustine, who just won U.S. championship at the World Juniors. They have Sebastian Cossa, who I was like so skeptical. I don't know why they didn't take Wallstrom. Sebastian Cossa, it's either him and Askarov and Wahlstrom are the top 3 goalie prospects, and Wahlstrom is like a below 900. Cossa was at like a 913 in the AHL, and Askarov is just Askarov. He's doing phenomenal as well. So
okay. So from what I gather, right, you are 100%. You're bought in. You are super like you lit up like a Christmas tree talking about this. Like you are so excited of the future of the Red Wings and believe that absolutely Steve Yzerman's plan, which you believe has not even begun yet. We are just seeing the ground floor foundation being laid.
Yeah.
You wait another 3-4 years and this team is going to be a juggernaut.
Their window's in 3 years. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my next question is Steve Yzerman around to reap those rewards?
Yes.
He will be. Okay. All right.
He will be.
So enough of the Detroit Red Wing fan base and media in that area agree with you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. No one is. If you're calling, if you, no one's dumb enough to put out fire Yzerman on Twitter, like, you know what I mean? Like it's not like, and it's not, it's like, because if you're in, because that's what I hate with the national media. They're like, oh, like, is his job? It's like, dude, no, because like it hasn't even started. You had to do a tear down and then a build up, right? We're seeing this in Chicago as well, right? They started to do a tear down and they just fired the coach and they're still doing shitty. They brought on they did what the Red Wings did. They bring in like Cop and like bring in all these UFAs and everything to try and like help bolster these guys, and it doesn't work because you're just, that's what ended up happening. Is I think, in my opinion, is ownership built Little Caesars Arena. It's about 6-7 years old right now, and they have the Pistons, the Detroit Pistons in the NBA, and then the Detroit Red Wings. Neither team has had a playoff game in LCA yet. So I think, and what I'm happening is Mike Ilitch, the owner, who supported Rosa Parks and was a very generous man, and was like, he played for the Detroit Tigers. He owns the Detroit Tigers as well. This family loves Detroit, and Mike Ilitch was great. Chris Ilitch, his son, Mike Ilitch passed away at this point. Chris Ilitch, I think, is money hungry. I think he's the one that's putting pressure on Yzerman to speed this up. And that's where you see the Cop signings. You see the Comfer signings. You see the Justin Hall, the pressure to make this team better. And so if it was up to Yzerman, he would make smaller deals and allow the guys to develop. Like, he's letting the guys develop, like he's protecting them. So by bringing in these UFAs, they're a little more expensive, but they're not going to be here for the long term. Like I told you, Cop ends in his this year, next 2 years. Guess when the window is? Right after that. Comfort, he'll be your third, fourth, right? Right after that, right? All these contracts are short term. In 2 years, Tarasenko, he won't be part of the window. He's here to help support them now and then lead them into the next reiteration. And you're going to see a team like Tampa Bay, which was drafted guys, right? And Yzerman was fortunate to have Hedman and Stamkos already when he came to the Lightning. He had Larkin, basically. That's all he had. It was actually a full-blown competent guy. So, and I see Cossa coming up as the number one, I guess, coming up next year with Talbot being his mentor and everything, which would be amazing. Again, you're going to see a highly athletic goalie in Cossa. You're going to have a highly technical guy in Augustine, who will probably he's going to get his AHL contract, I think, this year, play with the Grand Rapids Ravens for a year, and then come up a year or two after that. So I think the future is crazy bright for this. To me, I think you're going to see I think during Yzerman's tenure, they're going to retire Fedorov's number, which is, do you know about that?
About Fedorov?
Did you hear about, the drama of that?
No, with the drafting of his number or retiring of his number? No.
So Yzerman, the Red Wings and Anaheim both offered him the same contract, but he's a center and he wanted to be the number one center on a team. And you're playing with Yzerman, you're not going to be the number one center. Like, Yzerman was better than Fedorov. Fedorov takes the contract to Anaheim instead, and basically, like, it's basically an FU to the Red Wings, who offered him the exact same contract. And so there's a huge bitterness around this, and so no one's allowed to wear 91. They don't post about Fedorov at all. He's never been invited, or he's never been to LCA. He's
persona non grata in Detroit. I didn't know that.
But this year was the first year the Twitter account. I mean, Fedorov's 50 plus years old at this point, right? He's older, right? This is the first time ever that they posted "Happy Birthday, Sergei Fedorov," which shows is like a chink that might happen. So there's this like lore that Fedorov actually end up might being the next coach of the Red Wings. Because he's won the Gregorian Cup in the KHL twice as general manager and head coach.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. So
all right, so you are completely bought in.
I'm also realistic. Like I'm not like
sounds like you're
I sound crazy. I know it's right.
No, not at all. and I like, Steve Yzerman. If you're looking at it that way, then I guess we're still gonna have to see. The NHL's better when Detroit's better. Like Detroit needs to get better. Like the rivalry with Detroit and Colorado in the early 2000s.
Yeah,
just some of the best hockey, Devils, Red Wings history. Like there's so much of it. Like they've got to get better. Like it's so cool seeing the Devils doing so good, this year. Again, still haven't won anything, but it's fun just being a competitive, good team.
Yeah.
And the Red Wings need to get there, man. I'm tired. I'm so tired of the Bostons and the Tampa Bays and the Maple Leafs and the Rangers every freaking year. It's time to have some playoffs with Columbus and Red Wings and Buffalo and Jersey. Like that's Flyers. Let's change the fucking Eastern Conference, man.
Yeah. So I will say, I also think that the Devils window isn't now. I think you guys are still seeing parts of your rebuild. And I think you guys are probably a year or two ahead of the Red Wings. I don't think and so what I'll say is looking at the surrounding teams and the youth that you guys have phenomenal youth. And like you have great pieces. I love the Kovacevic trade as well. I thought that was a great trade for a 4th round pick from the Montreal Canadiens. Like I think you guys are coming out of this, and I think you guys are young. You have a lot of young pieces. You have really old pieces, and you have really young pieces as well, which is funny. Like a Dowling's like 33. You have a Hamilton who is like 33 as well. Like, but then you have like a Jack Hughes who's not even 20. He's not 23. He's like, so
it's awesome.
Your goaltenders are older, but you have a really young Dawes who's looking phenomenal. So like to me, you guys have a lot of potential. I can't wait to see you guys break out. So let's finish it up because it is 8:30. I know we want to let you go. So we'll have 2 questions. One, where do you see the Devils? How far do you see them going in the playoffs? I'll give me yours and then I'll give you mine.
This year, they can make it to an Eastern Conference final, I think.
Oh, really?
Okay. I think they can, yeah. With the way that we've seen this team play in the month of December, and they haven't, they're the same team. They haven't forgotten how to play that way. Yeah. When they get back to it, if they get into a playoff series, I think they can. There are a few teams in the Eastern Conference that we don't match up well against. That give me, agita when I think about facing them in the playoffs. Tampa Bay being one of them, Carolina being another. But I think the Devils can hang with pretty much anybody. I can see them making it to an Eastern Conference final this year.
So do you see that? So currently they would be versus the Carolina Hurricanes. You see them beating them?
I think yes. When you look at the 4-game series that we played against them, it was right down the middle. I think a 7-game series. I think the Devils have the more talent in goal. I think that's always been Carolina's Achilles heel.
Totally.
And I think the Devils are just they're now playing Carolina's game a lot of nights better than Carolina is. And when you saw them, the 2 losses, especially the last one on some crazy bullshit penalty, Timo Meier gets kicked out of the game because Marty Necas, fakes a knee injury. Like
you talked about that. Yeah.
It's some crazy shit that like you don't see happen all the time. So like that loss, I kind of just throw away. So if you look at it that way, the Devils had the advantage. So I do think they could beat them in the playoffs.
Okay, and the last question. So I think they lose in the. I think that they lose. And I think this is a good thing. I think they lose in the first round, and what it does is it defines them to make the big move. And I think that you're going to look at. I think that you're going to see a Nemec trade. You're going to see a lot of clearing out of the clutter, and you're going to see Mercer. There's going to be given a bigger role. Again, I think they buy out Palat. Like I think you're going to see. I think it's going to be a harsh reality and the best way for them to say this is the time. So I think it's a 1st-round loss to the Carolina Hurricanes because I'm so high on I'm high on the Carolina Hurricanes because I'm an idiot because I think they're going to go far every year. and they always get to the second round. They always get stomped.
You sure you're not a Viking fan?
Yeah, right.
No, I look, if that happened, I wouldn't be shocked at all. I mean, I don't think this team I don't think it would surprise anybody if they lost in the first round to the Carolina Hurricanes.
Yeah.
But I think that Carolina right now that's kind of like that's the final boss, right? Like
Boogeyman,
the Devils have to get through Carolina at some point. Is it going to be this year? I love the way that they played them during the regular season. Mm-hmm. It's going to be interesting to see how both these teams look come playoff time and what kind of moves each team makes, and what team is going into the playoffs healthy. But I think the Devils can definitely hang with them.
I think it goes 6-7. But I think it's a little reality check. I think Washington's not going away anytime soon. I think that but like I can see them getting to the second round. But again, I think just because I think the break's gonna be good for them. I'm excited to see what moves they make. I don't think they take a big swing this year, because I don't think this is the year. I think this is Jack Hughes is 20. He's not even 23 yet. Like he's I think maybe he's just around 23, but he's really young. He's 22.7 or 22.7.
Yeah.
So he's 22. And then lastly, who are your Stanley Cup Finals predictions?
That's a good one, dude. I really like Vegas, and I can see them winning the West. And so I'm going to go Vegas in the West. In the East, what I've seen right now, just the best hockey team, it's going to be Washington. Like they are on a different level. They're beating everybody, and they're playing playoff style hockey, and their goaltenders are super hot. I just think whoever's got to face them in the playoffs, and I'm hoping it's the Rangers. Like I am so hoping that the Rangers get what they gave to Washington last year from Washington.
They're not making the playoffs. Dude.
I know they're not. I know. Which I should take. I should feel better about. But
it's sad. Let's be honest. It's a bit sad on how it's going. Like Vegas is ruthless, but like they're honest, and they have the direction.
Yeah. This
is just sad to me.
Yes.
To me,
I'm with you. Who do you got for the finals?
So I went off. I'm going off gut. And I think it's another Vegas, Florida. I think it is. I think it's another Vegas, Florida. Vegas plays super hot. It's all gut. It's one of those where I'm like, I think Florida's doing what Tampa did in their first Stanley Cup, where they didn't want to win the President's. They won the President's Trophy the time before. Then they came in as a third seed and went all the way. And that's kind of where I see it, is they're kind of just like they're sitting back on their heels, and they're like, hey, well, don't worry, this is playtime. We're just kind of having a good time. We don't really care about the stats. I don't need career years. Like save your health for the playoffs.
Yeah, I could totally see it, dude, and that'd be fun to watch, man.
Absolutely. So, well, Chris, I appreciate you jumping on and everything. Make sure to go check out Uncle Puckers on Spotify. Are you guys on everywhere, I assume?
Yeah, pretty much anywhere you get a podcast. Sure.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Well, I'm sure we'll have to jump back on together. I think, do the Red Wings play the Devils again this season?
You know what? No, I think we played three times already.
It's all right. We'll jump on, and we'll do when I do a playoff preview. I'll jump on, and we'll talk.
We'll get you on the Uncle Puckers now.
Absolutely. Let me know, man.
So thank you so much for having me on, man. This was a lot of fun, man.
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it, man. Like I said, I'll catch up with you next time. All right. Appreciate it. Man. Thanks.